Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on HD Pocket. Today we're going to be breaking down some of the best decks that you can use for the new 5 consecutive win Emblem event in Pokemon TCG Pocket. Let's get into it. So, starting things off, one of the best decks that you can use for the new event is of course one of the most OP decks in the meta game at this point in time, and that is the Dialga EX and Arceus EX deck, accompanied with one of each Shaman. This is ridiculously busted, and yeah, basically the top tier deck in the game right now. So obviously it's going to be very useful for 5 consecutive wins. So within this deck, you have the Shaman Skyform, which is very useful because its ability allows you to retreat your active Pokemon for 1 less. So it basically allows you to retreat Arceus or Dialga for 1 energy instead of 2. Very, very useful. Also run the other Shaman as well because it allows you to heal 10 HP on all of your Pokemon every single turn. Very, very useful. And then you're running 2 Arceus EX, 2 Dialga EX, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Potions, 1 Adaman as well, just so you take less damage on your Dialga when maybe you're trying to set up the Arceus or something like that. You're running 1 Cyrus, 2 Giant Capes for a little bit more extra HP on your Dialga and Arceus, running a Giovanni, also running a Mars as well, which can be kind of useful. I know that it's basically just a red card, but if they do only need like 1 point to win and they've got like 4 or 5 cards in their hand, this is very, very useful because it basically means that they only have 1 card instead of like 4 or 5. So can be very, very useful. Can brick your starting hand, which isn't ideal, but I guess in that sense it's still just a normal red card. 2 Professor Researchers, 1 Rocky Helmet, and then 1 Sabrina. And then obviously pairing 2 deities in a single deck, Dialga EX and Arceus EX capitalize on the energy acceleration of the Time deity and the high damage output of the Pokemon world's creator. To fill the bench so Ultimate Force deals the biggest possible damage, being 130, the deck plays utility Pokemon, being obviously the 2 different Shamans. This variant finds valuable partners in Shaman, either the land form from Space-Time Smackdown, which boosts the durability of these 2 behemoths, or the Sky form from Triumphant Light, which reduces their retreat cost, making it easier to switch out when one is at risk of being knocked out. I mean, this deck is very self-explanatory. You get Dialga in first, Arceus on your bench, the 2 Shamans on your bench, and then you just basically use Metallic Turbo to boost up Arceus so you can start doing 130 damage, retreat it out, bring in Arceus, and then obviously just keep doing 130 every single turn. And yeah, that's basically the consensus of this deck. It's very, very broken. It's very, very reliable. And yeah, the 2 Shamans, I really like this as well because it's just healing you every turn as well. I know it's only 10, but that can be the difference between losing them on and not losing them on. So yeah, I really, really like this Dialga EX Arceus deck. But again, it's one of the best decks in the game. Very, very useful. Next up is a little bit of an interesting variation of how to play Pokemon TCG Pocket. Some people don't necessarily like it, but it does work. And this is a deck that can get you through these wins very, very fast because if you play Articuno first turn, you get a Misty, you get a couple of heads, very likely your opponent's just going to retreat because you're basically guaranteed to win the game from that point. But there are different kind of variations of this deck. We'll go over a couple of them, but the one that I like the most is the Articuno deck. So basically you're just playing 2 Articuno, and then the rest of the deck is just supporter, trainer, and supporter and item cards. So 2 Articuno EXs, 2 Pokeballs. You're probably wondering why you're playing 2 Pokeballs when you only have 2 basic Pokemon, because obviously you're guaranteed to start with 1 basic in your hand. It just allows you to try and find that other Articuno. Yeah, you could start with both Articunos in your opening hand, and then you might draw a Pokeball, so it's useless, but in the situation where maybe you only have 1 Articuno, and then it's like taking a bit of damage and you're trying to find the other one, it's just useful to have 2 Pokeballs in your deck. Just kind of raises your chances of finding that other Articuno. So that's why you run 2 Pokeballs. 2 Potions, 2 Cyrus. This card works very, very well with Articuno because obviously Blizzard deals 10 damage to your opponent's bench as well, so it'll allow you to swap in a Pokemon with Cyrus. 2 Giant Capes as well, just to give you a bit more HP on Articuno to make it 160. 2 Iridas, obviously a very, very good card for water decks. Basically just gives you 40 HP for every Pokemon with a water energy. So in this case, Articuno is always going to have a water energy on it, so it's just going to be healing for 40 every time you use this card. Another Mars as well, again, just like we said in the last deck, just very, very useful, end game, stuff like that. 2 Misties, a necessity. Again, if you open with Articuno and Misty first turn and you get a couple of heads, you're basically guaranteed the win. 2 Professor's Research. This deck has a Rocky Helmet as well, which, you know, I don't mind. I'd probably prefer a Geo just because Geo can be very, very useful in certain situations if you need to do like 90 or 50 damage or whatever to knock out a Pokemon. And obviously you only have two basics. I get that you've just more of a chance of getting a tool if you have more than two, but each to their own. And then also two Sabrinas as well in this deck. But yeah, I just like this more because obviously you've got the Pachirisu variant here, but it just kind of, it benefits from having that Irida card as well, and obviously the Misty card. I think it's just a lot more fluent, I guess, if that's the right word, for getting Articuno powered up and stuff. But that's one variant. You can also run Palkia as well. I kind of prefer this one just because Palkia, yes, does 150 damage, which could knock a lot of Pokemon out. But if you fail that Misty, you know, it's going to be very, very long kind of getting that energy into Palkia, because obviously you lose 3 every time you use its hard-hitting move, whereas with Articuno, you're guaranteed to hit 80 every single turn, and then you can start, like, Cyrusing out other Pokemon to obviously knock those out. But, yeah, that's the Articuno variant. You also have the Pachirisu variant as well. I'd probably only look at these two variants. As I say, there's the Palkia one as well. I just prefer the Articuno one, but with the Pachirisu, obviously it benefits from having tools on it. It's the same kind of concept. You just have 2 basic Pokemon, and the rest of the cards being item and supporter cards. In this case, though, obviously you're running 4 tools because Pachirisu needs a tool to really do a lot of damage. Running a red card here as well, running a blue. Again, you've got to make space for that Irida card, which again is just more beneficial. Obviously, you need less energy to do 80 damage on Pachirisu. But at the same time, I don't know, I just prefer the Articuno. I think you can just set it up a lot quicker. So that's like the sort of cheeky 2 basic Pokemon decks. The next one is the Darkrai EX deck. We've gone over this many, many times. It's still one of the best cards, or one of the best decks in the game, should I say. It's the Darkrai Magnezone Dark Zone variant. So 2 Magnemite, 2 Magneton, 2 Magnezone, 2 Druddigon, 2 Darkrai, 2 Pokeballs, Pokemon Communication, a Cyrus, always needed in a deck where you're doing damage to the bench, in this case obviously with like Darkrai and stuff like that. Giant Cape for 20 HP on your Pokemon, 2 Leafs just for easily retreating Pokemon, 2 Professor's Research, and then a Sabrina. And then, yeah, Darkrai EX has 2 major problems. It monopolizes energy attachments to maximize Nightmare Aura, and it deals relatively low damage while still giving up 2 points. Magnezone helps address both issues. So first, Magneton provides an alternate energy source with Volt Charge, accelerating electric energy. I don't even know why I'm reading this. You know how to play this deck. It's been around for a while. Yeah, still one of the best decks in the game, and obviously will help get you those 5 wins fast. And then the last deck that I wanted to go over today is the Lucario Rampardos deck. I'm not a massive fan of it because it's very easy to brick with this deck because there's no kind of item or trainer card in the game that allows you to search for fossils. So you're kind of just hoping every single time you find that fossil. You can't Pokeball it or anything like that. So if you don't draw one of those 2 fossils quite early on in the game as well, because it's not really going to be that beneficial later on when you need to evolve it and stuff. So if you don't find it early on, it's kind of a bad situation, but it's a very, very good deck for countering Pokemon like the Arceus variant, because it's Rampardos is one of the only cards in the game that can one-shot Arceus with 1 energy, which is absolutely busted. But anyway, in this deck, you're running 1 Sudowoodo, which has seen a lot of play, because if your opponent's active Pokemon is an EX, this attack does 30 more damage. So you can actually do 50 damage per turn to an EX, which is obviously very, very nice. With the boosted damage from being super effective, this can also actually 2-shot Arceus, which is also kind of crazy. You're also running 2 Cranidos, 2 Rampardos, 2 Riolu, 2 Lucario, 1 Marshadow. Marshadow's for the revenge killing. Lucario's there for obviously extra kind of damage on your bench. 2 Pokeballs, 2 Pokemon Communications. These are very useful because there's quite a couple of evolutions in this deck, and it's very easy to break. Like, your opening hand could be like Sudowoodo, Rampardos, Sabrina, Cyrus, and like Riolu, and then you're just kind of screwed because you're just not, like, it just doesn't help you at all. But 1 Cyrus, 2 Professor Researchers, 1 Sabrina, and then of course 2 School Fossils. And then the Fighting Fossil line from Space Time Smackdown brings 2 powerful Pokemon that thrive with just 1 fighting energy, and they only get better with Lucario on the field. So Cranidos' Headbutt deals a solid 50 damage on a 90 HP Pokemon, already a better rate than Mythical Island Primeape, with Fighting Coach that just does that jumps to 70, allowing it to KO nearly all basic Pokemon with an evolution. The real star is the 2-stage Rampardos, a 150 HP behemoth whose Head Smash deals 130 damage for just 1 energy, an unparalleled rate in TCG Pocket. Fighting Coach pushes it to 150 damage, one-shotting nearly all relevant Pokemon EX, including Darkrai EX, Palkia, Dialga, and Yanmega. The deck has gained a prime spot in the metagame at Triumphant Light release, as Rampardos is one of the rare Pokemon to one-shot Arceus EX, and the only one to do so at such a low energy commitment. So there are definitely huge positives to this deck. I just think it's a little bit difficult to kind of set it up. And again, you can easily brick if you don't get that fossil. So I'm not a massive fan of this, but if your looks with you, this is a very, very useful deck. Like I say, can one-shot pretty much anything in the meta right now. But those are some of the decks that I would use. I personally like the Articuno deck because it's just fast, and you can get a lot of people kind of conceding if they do see you like pull a Misty on Articuno and get a couple of energy on it first turn, so you can fly through them. But either way, those are some of the decks that you should be using for the new 5 consecutive win emblem event in Pokemon TCG Pocket. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. Leave a comment. What decks are you going to be using for the new emblem event? Subscribe if you're brand new. It's everything from me. Have a great rest of your day, and until next time, peace.